We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No, we are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. The man makes you know he can't fucking breathe. The man makes you know We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No, we are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, a show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to get into all the shit talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements and fuckery that have all trickled out that MMA pipeline since we talked to you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all that, though, first and foremost, how you doing over there, gentlemen?
We're here, one day closer to Friday, so I can't be too upset.
Damn right.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I'll allow it. All right, good shit. Well, that being said, we're going to jump in and kick things off the way that we like to around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight bookings, fight cancellations, official rumor confirmations and denials, things of that nature that we feel are relevant in the fight world for you fine folks to be aware of. We start off this week actually talking about this weekend instead of having to look backwards for a change. I always love when we get to do that. Unfortunately, Mick Parkin got injured in training and is out of his fight against Mario Pinto this weekend. On short notice, though, making his debut coming out of the Contender Series is going to be Felipe Franco, stepping in on just a few days' notice to take on Mario Pinto this weekend. So that should be very interesting as well. Looking forward a couple of weeks here. I'm not sure why, but they have already booked him. Tai Tuivasa is getting back into action again for UFC Perth coming up on May 2nd, this time taking on Sean Sharaf. Um, they are quite noticeably starting to lower the level of competition that they are giving Tai Tuivasa. Like, I understand everybody loves Tai, but at the same point, I think he's on a 6-fight skid right now or a 5-fight skid right now. Like it's not good, and it hasn't been good for a while. I love Tai Tuivasa as much as the next guy, but I'd also like to be able to see Tai Tuivasa do interviews 20 years from now where he's able to speak legibly and finish whole sentences as well. So uh, I don't want it to be, but I kind of hope at the same time that this is the UFC's way of giving Ty a very literal softball pitch. Get yourself a big fucking win, look like a hero in Perth, and lay them the fuck down, or they're going to give you walking papers. So, it obviously, far be it from me to tell a professional fighter when they need to hang their gloves up. But as somebody who's been watching this sport for going on 3 decades now, I've seen how this fucking story ends if things don't change, and I would rather him alter the outcome while he has a chance to. Whether that actually happens or not, we'll see. Poor Brian Ortega's been trying to get up to 55 pounds for a year and a half. They're still booking him for 45-pound fights, so we'll see. That being said, kind of out of nowhere, really, surprised the shit out of me at least. May 16th, the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, Netflix's first MMA card ever, got another interesting fight added to it here. We talked about Ronda and Gina Carano headlining, Francis Ngannou now stepping in to take on Felipe Lins in the co-main event. Well, they're adding some interesting fights to it. Maybe not the greatest fights, maybe not the most prime fights, but interesting fights nonetheless. They announced yesterday that Nate Diaz will officially be fighting Mike Perry in a welterweight match on that card on Netflix coming up May 16th as well. Lorenz Larkin will be taking on Jason Jackson, former Bellator and PFL star as well. There's like I said, there's some interesting matchups going down on this card, and Netflix is promoting the ever loving fuck out of it right now, everywhere that they have the opportunity to. So we'll see how it actually plays out as we get a little closer to May 16th.
I'm not mad at them for it. I mean, to be honest, I'm more happy for the people that are actually fighting because guaranteed they're getting a bigger payday than they would have ever gotten from the UFC.
That's what I was going to
Guaranteed.
say. I'm not happy that the event is happening under the current promotion that it is, obviously, but the fact that the fighters that are signed on to fight on this event and who are all openly talking about how much better this one fight has been than the majority of their careers in several cases, can't be mad at
So
that at all.
I seen the Perry and Diaz fight advertised, but just like we talked about many times, need to confirm it multiple places. And I just thought it was, somebody putting some shit together just because, oh, Nate Diaz, Mike Perry.
There's been a
But
lot of rumor posts, I think is the best way to call them,
so I
going
just I
around
just
this
played
week. So
I just played it off as like an AI poster board or some shit and
right.
didn't even bring it up, but apparently it's fucking real.
Yeah, no, this is one of the few things that have been going around the last week or so that actually turned out to be legit. Unfortunately, I have to be the bearer of bad news if you have not verified that for yourself yet. No, John Silva is not flying to London to step in on short notice. Lerone Murphy and Mavsar Evloev are both there already. Everything is on track. You can stop believing that. That post has been sent to me by no less than a dozen people in the last 48 hours. I assure you that post is fucking bogus. This is exactly why I tell all these guys, and I stand by it my fucking self, unless you can verify something by at least 2 credible sources, we don't even fucking talk about it. So, yeah, it is a legit thing. Nate Diaz is going to do MMA on the first ever Netflix MMA card, and he's going to fight Mike Perry. The first time either of them have been in an MMA match in a couple of years now. So, it could be very, very interesting. That's what I said. Most of these fights are not ideal. They are not the prime time to have made these fights, but they could all still be very interesting. We'll see how Netflix handles it.
we'll say sanctioned MMA match because we all know that any
Right.
Diaz brother hasn't spent at least more than 30 days without getting in a fist fight.
Right. Or throwing a water bottle or something. Yeah. No, ironically though, the next piece of news, speaking of sanctioning, we found out this week that the UFC never bothered to contact the DC Athletic Commission when planning this whole fucking monstrosity that they are calling the Freedom 250 card on the White House lawn. And the Athletic Commission head of Washington, D.C., made a very public statement about that and said that unless we get a lot more specifics than they are willing to come forth with right now, we're not going to sanction any of these fights that they are openly promoting that are going to happen on the White House lawn. So what did Dana and his buddies do? Surely the responsible thing, right? Give the DC Commission all of the information that they need, like they would anywhere else if they were bringing a UFC event. No. What Dana actually did was went above the DC Commission's head and went directly to the the American Boxing Commission, the ABC, the one who actually make the unified rules for MMA and oversee all combat sports as a whole in the United States, and got the ABC to independently sanction the event and went completely around the DC fucking commission because the ABC didn't ask nearly as many questions and doesn't have nearly as many stringent rules as the local fucking commission obviously would. So once again, even in trying to do something quote unquote good, Dana's still being shady as shit about this. And this one's going down on the fucking White House lawn. So I can't say that I'm surprised, but I can say that it is confirmed that it is going to happen apparently in June and that it will be sanctioned by the ABC, but not the DC Athletic Commission.
Well, since it's going to be unsanctioned, that means it may not count on anybody's record. And if any titles change hands, they don't fucking actually change hands.
That is exactly why they got the ABC to come in, because one of the first things that the DC Commission had said is that there is a belt on the line on this promotion, and we still don't even have all of the information about attendance or employees that are going to be attending yet. So we can't sanction that.
I mean, to be fair, the people who are going to be employees are not going to be the ones you think they're going to be. Most of
Right.
them are going to have little wires behind their ear with guns.
Yep. Yep. So apparently this fucking monstrosity of an event is moving forward, but without the actual local commission's fucking blessing, because Dana White went above their fucking head in a very Dana White maneuver. Wish I could say I'm fucking surprised. That being said, speaking of May 16th, not only will it be that Netflix card, it will also be UFC Vegas 117, which will be a fairly interesting card unto itself. And we got another interesting matchup added to that card this week. Rodolfo Bellato, coming fresh off of some ridiculous performances himself, will be stepping in to take on Modestas Bukauskas in a very interesting matchup, in my opinion. That Vegas 17 card has got some nice matchups on it. I'm curious to see what else they're going to throw on it as we get a little closer. UFC Baku, the Azerbaijan card, taking place June 27th, got a pair of fights added to it this week, and I am very interested in both of them, even though I am a petty man and it might just be me. The first one, Michelle Pereira taking on Shara Bullet. That one could be very interesting. They both have very flashy, very strike heavy styles. We could actually be getting the matchup there that everyone kind of thought we were going to get with Shara Bullet against MVP. So being over in Azerbaijan, it could be a hell of a matchup. The other one that they added, Bruno Ferreira, fresh off of his ass whooping from Gregory Rodriguez, stepping in to take on Ikram Aliskerov, who we have not seen in a hot minute here. So UFC Baku is absolutely getting some interesting matchups added to it here. The UFC is not making the strongest fights yet, but obviously they've got some other things to handle at the moment that they're a little more concerned about. But we've got some interesting matchups coming in the next couple of weeks for goddamn sure. That being said, that is what I've got for news. Do you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed this week?
No, but I did want to put an honorable mention out there for mending fences, and
Absolutely.
that being, if you guys haven't watched either Ben Askren's or fucking Street Jesus's fucking shit lately, they've mended fences. In fact, Street Jesus was at Ben Askren's fucking baptism and everything. So it's fucking wild. Like, which kind of irks the shit out of me that I didn't know Street Jesus was in my neck of the woods because Ben Askren is very close to Green Bay.
Right down the fucking road. Yeah.
So I'm slightly peeved about that. In fact, the Askren Wrestling Academy is less than an hour from my house.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
we know people in your area that are considering sending their kids to the Askren Wrestling Academy. So
exactly, but just it's food for thought that yeah, even people who have bad blood can mend fences, and even in a sport that's as violent as the UFC is,
right.
it happens. That just turns around. So don't hold a fucking grudge.
Right.
And if you do, get over it at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. If somebody like fucking Ben Askren and Street Jesus can squash their shit, there's very little that can stand away.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that being said, this is normally the point where we would bring in our young fella and he would tell us all about the names that are going to be names before their names. But unfortunately, life is life right now, so he's not here at the moment. He did send me some of his information for this, and we are going to talk about this upcoming card because there are a couple of interesting matchups on here that absolutely deserve a little bit of time here. So we'll give the kid some quick little rundown from his notes here because he's not feeling the best right now, but still thought ahead enough to send me his notes for the show so we could still get some informed fucking picks to talk about real quick. Cans. Got to talk about the cans first. I don't know anybody that would be really surprised at this point, but we do have to say Austin Lane is absolutely on the fucking can side of things this week, as he fucking should be. He is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the people on this card who is fighting for his job this weekend. If he gets his ass laid out in the first round like he has in several of his recent fights, I think this could probably be the last time we see Austin Lane, and it would most likely be for the better. The other one we have got here, the Rock versus Salawidi fight. Whole fight can go in the fucking trash. All hype, all bark, no bite. Lots of sparks, no fizzle on that one, in my opinion. Chris feels the same way. So we do have a couple of good lookers here on the kid's radar. Obviously, he's been screaming about him as long as anybody has that I can remember. Luke Riley, everybody and their brother's looking forward to Luke Riley this weekend to see how he does. The other one, Curtis Campbell. I am not the most familiar with Curtis Campbell, but another one of the English folks on this London card, helping to make a potential London sweep with Lerone in the main event for the kids' point of view. I absolutely agree with that as well. I am also a petty asshole, though, so I am personally pulling for Michael Aswell Jr. I want to see Luke Riley get a little bit of fucking humble pie because he has absolutely got a fucking chip on his shoulder that's bigger than he is, in my opinion. He has not earned the ego that he has yet. So I would like to see Aswell give him the fucking business. We'll see how that plays out, though. Um, I agree completely. Not that Baranowski is the greatest contender in the world or any kind of a world beater, but we've seen what Austin Lane has to offer at this point, and it just ain't top level. So I feel like he's probably going to get the business this weekend again. One that I feel like for some reason is kind of sliding under the radar, at least in my opinion, Roman Dolidze versus CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. Dolidze has been so fucking hot and cold as of recent. It's not even funny. And CLD has been putting in some fucking work. This could be a sneaky good matchup. I'm inclined to root, I'm inclined to root for CLD over Roman Dolidze, but Dolidze also has been known to surprise us in the past as well. So this one could be a very interesting matchup. And I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it this week. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. Curtis Campbell versus Danny Silva. I have heard a couple people in the know, I will say with air quotes, who are pretty fucking high on Danny Silva. So Chris coming in saying that he's pulling for Curtis Campbell to help make the London sweep happen. Now I'm interested in that fight, and I honestly was not that interested in it prior to this message that I got. So there's another one, and they're featherweights, and featherweight is fucking crazy right now. So if either one or both of these gentlemen turn out to potentially be somebody that we need to keep an eye on, that's a good division to have them in as well. Um, the only other the only other two that I'm generally really interested or concerned about here. The first one, I mentioned it in the news segment, the short notice heavyweight matchup, Mario Pinto versus Felipe Franco. Obviously, we've gotten, how should I put this nicely, a mixed bag of talent from the Contender Series so far. We've genuinely seen some folks who, that was the path that they needed to take to get here. We've also seen quite a few folks end up coming out of the Contender Series that had no business actually getting in the UFC. No real way to tell just yet where Franco's going to stand, but Mario Pinto, even though he's not a world breaker, he's got a pretty solid fucking game, and he's got a pretty solid fucking right. So it's definitely going to be an interesting test. Short notice fights are always short notice for everybody involved, and I'm always curious to see how that plays out. I'm not saying we got two heavyweight contenders, but this could be an interesting heavyweight matchup this weekend, and we don't get a lot of those lately. The other one that I am very curious about, the man that stepped in to save us in Iowa, Mason fucking Jones, at one point was the motherfucker of motherfuckers in terms of UFC prospect, and then just kind of fucking disappeared for a while. And then when Jeremy Stevens started talking all of his shit about the UFC fucking Iowa card, UFC brought old Mason Jones back to give that little bitch a little taste of humble fucking pie that I was so fucking happy to see. Now they're bringing it back against Axel Sola. Sola is an 11-0 prospect. This could be a very interesting matchup to see exactly where Mason Jones really stands, because he's kind of had some rumblings about him potentially hanging it up to just, go back to normal life, I say with air quotes. If he's not committed, a guy like Sola is going to show it. If he is still committed, Sola could end up getting Jeremied, for lack of a better word for it. I'm curious to see how that one plays out. I love to see the new guys coming in and actually, deserving to be there. But I'm also a petty asshole, so I like seeing guys that shouldn't be here get shown why they shouldn't be here. So there's a couple interesting matchups on here that I'm very curious to see. But I will say, the UFC has done fairly well this weekend in bringing a lot of UK fighters to the UFC London card. So there is that. That being said, what do you think over there, TJ?
Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Midwest salads that aren't really salads. But this is a whole lot of that. Meaning they're trying to fluff this up. They're adding a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and praying to God it's going to pass the smell test. Unfortunately, this card doesn't pass the smell test. However, to be courteous, at least we have a card to watch. On the other side of that coin, I'll say it like I've been saying it a lot lately. Stop feeding us so many cards and go back to feeding us decent or good cards. But we're here, so we're going to talk about it. What I see on this card is a whole lot of, hey, you're on our roster. We need to offer you a fight. How would you like to go to England? Or, hey, you're in England. How would you like to fight? Because it's obligatory that we offer you so many fights per year. Well, this is where you get the things like the Shamrock and the Solati. Not great. However, there are some, what I'll say, I think maybe a hidden gem in here. And that is going to be, God, this is weird to say this when the kid isn't here, but a fucking prospect who hasn't fought in the UFC yet, getting fed Antonio Tricoli. Montas Condravictus. I'm probably martyring his fucking name. But Tricoli has lost his last 3 fights via knockout, submission. they're setting the Lithuanian up for just a softball pitch of here, welcome to the UFC, off this motherfucker Tricoli, and we'll keep you in. And just because Tricoli's been around long enough, look, he's not. Look, I'll say it. Most casuals don't know who the fuck Antonio Tricoli is. Those of us who have been watching a while, we know who he is. Are we impressed? No. But we know who he is just because he's been around long enough. So it's getting a new guy a fucking shot at seeing whether he does fit in around here. Because if he does the same thing that everyone else has done to Tricoli, yeah, you definitely fit here. Let's see how you do. Um, they did a very good job of pulling people from England, UK in general, just as Europe as a whole. You don't just like they do on any card when they leave the US, they do a great job of making sure the locals have somebody to root for. I mean, you got a fairly solid fucking main event in Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy. And it's definitely going to be a title eliminator because Mozart is, I think, ranked number one. Lerone has fucking been on that charge. So, and then where I'm a little fucked up is how did Luke Riley pull the goddamn co-main event spot when, God, this is going to hurt to say in my mouth and I'm even going to need to wash it out. But when you have MVP and Sam Patterson right behind him, look, MVP is a much bigger name than Luke Riley. Pretty sure he should be the co-fucking main event. And I don't even like MVP, but I'll fucking say it. He's a much bigger name, a bigger draw. He should be sitting co-main event. Of course, he's not going to be main event because he's not in that title eliminator position. And you've got a charging Sam Patterson who hasn't lost in the UFC since his debut fight. Has the only fight he's lost in the UFC. That stacks up to be a very interesting fight because that's going to tell us a lot about where Sam Patterson is and is Michael Venom Page just staying the course or is he starting to tail off because he's getting older? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but MVP is going to tail off. He's going to be just like Anderson Silva was, where he does all his great flashy shit, but once you get to a certain age, the flashy shit stops working because you're not fast enough. Unfortunately, speed does go with age. It might not look like it a lot, but if you look at his fights from 5 years ago versus now, you can tell a definite speed difference. Hugely. By the way, that's neither here nor there, but then you get fed shit like Austin Lane. That is the biggest pile of light heavyweight shit that the UFC could muster. Why he is still in the UFC, I don't know. And, well, let's hope there's some fucking Polish power going on over there in Skis Land because I want to see Austin Lane get walking papers. He has been nothing but boring, and I will 100% jump on board with the Roman Dolidze and CLD. That very well could be a banger of a fight. However, it's also going to depend on, in my opinion, which Roman Dolidze shows up. So it'll get the contender fight for me because it could be great, it could be meh. But overall, I mean, I'm not mad at the card itself because, like you mentioned earlier, Mason Jones got brought back in here. This will be his third fight since 2025, which is great because he fought twice last year, won both times. Is he still in it? Because if he is, he could still be a rule breaker. He really could. But if his fucking head isn't in it and he's thinking about still hanging up and going off and doing a fucking walkabout in the Australian outback, even though he's from Wales, I'm just saying his head might be elsewhere. But as a whole, I'll give it this. The card isn't terrible. There's plenty of notable names on there that people are going to recognize, even when you say something like Nathaniel Wood. People are going to know who Nathaniel Wood is because he's been around long enough. And he's been one of those middle of the road guys. But as a whole, I mean, yeah, I didn't mention any of the women's fights because, to be honest, none of them are worth shit to me. Um, The most notable name on there is probably Luana Carolina, and she has been absolutely terrible in the UFC. So that tells you something. But as a whole, card isn't the worst card I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the best. They get an A for bringing talent in from the local area. Card overall, I give a C minus. Actually, I like that. I'm gonna start grading the cards. That works out much better. Then people will understand.
I'm good with that. It would definitely a grading scale might help people understand because a lot like I'll be the first to admit we are not always the most positive about a lot of these cards. But my name ain't Willy Wonka, and I ain't here to sugarcoat a goddamn thing for you. I'm going to tell you what I think, and if I don't want to watch a fight, odds are there's probably not a lot of reasons that most folks are going to want to watch that fight. I'm not trying to tell you what to watch or how to watch it. I'm just trying to give you a little more information as to why I like to watch what I like to watch, and so are the rest of these guys. We're just trying to help make more informed fans, not tell you how to think,
Take them to the juicing room.
right?
Now, while I may not be a casual anymore, I still kind of look at all this stuff with like rose tinted glasses. Like, I'm just happy to watch the fights. Like, there's been plenty of times that we've sat here and trashed a card and then just watched knockout after knockout.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's not to say that even a poor card can't have that happen.
Right.
It's fighting, it's fist fighting.
Right,
There
right.
is always the chance of that shit happening. Which, to be honest, that's what makes this sport great. Is even on a card like this, where I'll say, as of lately, it's a just slightly below average card.
Right.
There is a good chance that we could see a lot of finishes because there's a lot of people on here that are known finishers. I
Absolutely.
mean, I'll even say it, even though he's too cocky for his own good, and that's Luke Riley. He's finishing motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You got MVP, finishes fuckers. Roman Dolidze and CLD. We've both seen them finish people on multiple occasions.
Fuck yeah.
Like Mason Jones, you've seen him finish people. Nathaniel Woods. There's the list goes on in here. It just, and then you have guys like Antonio Tricoli is known to get finished.
Right.
So yeah, there's possibilities out there. In fact, if you go and you look at my card this weekend, you're probably going to see quite a few finished picks, not just decisions. Oh, by the way, that's on tapology.com for those of you who aren't aware, but I'll get more into that later. I'm just saying, yeah, even these subpar cards, we can still see a lot of great finishes and sometimes some great fights because sometimes people will put on the performance of their life
Fuck yeah.
on a small card like this, which to be honest is great because you need something to highlight these types of cards.
Yep. Well, and we talk about it a lot of times while we're hanging out watching fights over the course of the weekend. Just because, and Christian agrees with me every fucking time I say it, just because we make a pick one way on Tapology, there are quite often times where I will make a pick and tell you that that's how I think that that fight is going to happen, and still almost be happier to be wrong than I would be to be right, just because of the implications that that fight could have going the other way. I am very rarely angry when I make a pick and a fight goes the opposite fucking direction. That's one of the things I love about combat sports is that MMA math does not work. This is one of the few places where you can take one, add one, and come out with seven. And there's no fucking rhyme or reason why it does, but it will almost every fucking time. So fighting is one of those things where just because we're telling you how we think it's going to go, don't think that we're set in fucking stone or that we're fucking trying to give you advice from on high or any crazy bullshit like that. We're just a couple of dudes who've been watching fights for a long fucking time. We watch a lot of fights and we watch a lot of different kind of fights, and we're fairly informed in our fight knowledge, and we like to share that with people who might not necessarily have seen nearly as many fights of us. I get messages literally, I'm not trying to brag. I get messages every fucking weekend from somebody who doesn't watch a lot of fights but has heard about something happening on that weekend and wants to know about it. That's literally why we do this podcast pretty much every fucking week. We watch these fights whether we're telling you about them or not. At least when we come here, we can try and give you guys some of the knowledge that we have buried in our fucking brains from watching a million different fucking fights from different locations across the globe over the years under different rule sets. That's kind of what this whole show is about. We're not here to
Mm.
try and sound smart. We're trying to help share the information that we have gathered over the years.
I mean, from what we've watched as a whole to some of us even training, Yes, I'm fat and out of shape at this point, but I did train. I taught fucking combatives in the military. Then I went on to do jujitsu, the Gracie Academy out in California. So yeah, a lot of us do know what we're talking about when we're on here. It's not that I'm not here to fucking brag or pat people on the back or anything like that.
Right.
Just telling you, you could get your information from worse fucking places. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that being said, that will bring us to the only segment of the show that does require its own individual disclaimer. So, if you will, Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports, sponsors, or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, they do have a website that you can go on. They allow you to make a free account and you can make fantasy style picks just like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there. So we made one. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or group 965. However, you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcomed and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and then let us know who you are. And we will hold your picks accountable with ours in the segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Well, spring has obviously sprung. Not really. We just got 26 inches of snow here over this last weekend. So yeah. But apparently, Donna is back on that fucking sauce again. I'm just gonna say that again because she had a couple down months in there where things weren't looking great. Now apparently, she's got the right hand of God giving her fucking information on all the picks because she was 12 of 14 correct this week, 780 points. There was nobody in our group in sight of catching her. Well, there was, but it felt like a fucking runaway. To be honest, it really felt like a runaway watching her picks. Um,
She
oh,
had me by 5 points for more than half the card, and it was driving me fucking insane for the record.
I can imagine. She was on her fucking game, as were you, sitting at 11 to 14. Now there was a fight down at the bottom of who was going to trip over their dick the hardest. And to be fair, none of us really tripped over our dick. It was all fucking 50. It was more than 50%. It was 8 out of 14 or better for every one of us. So as a whole, group did fantastic, but somebody has to take the L. In this case, it was Vinny. 8 of 14 correct, still over the 500 mark, for only 415 points. Don was at 505 with 9 of 14. So not a huge gap there. Myself, I wasn't talking much farther ahead with 9 with 595. The only thing that saved me was a perfect and a couple of fucking decisions and semi-perfects. So you can join Tapology. It's absolutely 100% free. And now I know, just like I said, I'm going to touch on this later, and this is later now. You guys are watching this for free. You're listening to this for free on your listening platform of choice. The only way you're not doing this for free is if you're a member of the Patreon, which is listed down below. You can go ahead and sign up for as little as $1 a month. I'm not telling you to, but it'll help make the show better because, maybe I get a new camera because we finally make enough money that I can afford a new camera. Or maybe I get a new microphone rather than this little pocket-sized fucker. Who knows? I mean, don't get me wrong, the pocket-sized fucker works. But it's not the quality you would want. You could get better. Just join the Patreon. That's how that stuff is going to get better. Who knows? Maybe one day we get enough Patreon to where we open a studio and I can quit my job and do nothing but MMA reporting.
For the
That would be
record, I
fantastic.
promise not to talk to Republicans if we get a studio. Just throwing that out there.
Only thing I'm going to talk to is people that are dealing with the fight world. That's it. Because that's all I want to deal with. I don't give a fuck what your goddamn affiliation is, Republican, Democrat, as long as you want to talk fights and enjoy them. Now, With that being said, let's move on to where we stand in the spring done sprung fucking Grand Prix. To nobody's surprise at all, Donna is absolutely running away with it. 40 of 53 picks correct so far, 2,680. Myself, I'm sitting in second place, but I'm a long off second place. 34 of 53, 2,265. The meter's not far behind me. Same amount of picks correct, just off me by 60 points. Then you got Christian sitting at 2,195, 34 to 53, exact same amount of picks. Here's where it gets really fucking weird though. Number 5 spot is Don, sitting at 35 of 53. You heard that right, 35 of 53. So he has one more pick correct than fourth, third, and second place, but less points. Because he's got 2,130. Vindog, after his tough fought battle this week, is holding down the bottom spot here of 33 of 67. Look, we're all at least 6 fight picks behind Donna. I don't know at this point, unless she throws in the next 4 events, including this weekend, that any of us catch her. Because a 6 behind is a long way. What's crazy is we're halfway through this, and she's got a 6 fight pick lead. I mean, don't get me wrong, that only equals out to just over 400 points in my case. But where it's a 7 fight pick and at the bottom, you're looking at 755 point difference. She gets to put in picks this week and the next 4 weeks. Unless she absolutely fucking donkeys it up a couple of weeks, I don't know that we catch her. But stay tuned, because you never fucking know. Stranger things have happened. Come join Tapology. It's free. Group 965, I'm no bookie. Whatever you want to do to look it up, let us know who you are, and we'll get you into these groups. We'll get you into the next Grand Prix. At this time, you have plenty of time to get in, because the next Grand Prix is not going to be until after April 11th sometime. We'll figure that out as that day gets closer. So you have time. Come join us. Let us know who you are. We can hold your picks accountable. Give you a pat on the back when you do well. Tell you when you tripped over your dick and shit the bed. But it's all free. We know you cheap bastards like free, otherwise you'd be members of the Patreon. But we'll just leave it at that. Now, with all that being said, let's go take a look at some betting lines here. Because, well, I'm not going to say betting lines. I'm just going to say odds. Not betting lines, because I'm not your bookie. I'm not going to tell you how to fucking make picks. And holy Jesus. Had to scroll a ways to get to that. Apparently, I should have had this ready before I hopped in here. But that's fine. So, UFC London card, which is this weekend, March 21st. We're going to use Bet River this week. Now, as a whole, like a lot of cards, there are a lot of coin flips. However, there are some wider odds on the card, so we're going to go ahead and cover those wider odds. And I mean, there are some wider ones. So for those of you who like to bet underdogs, here's your fucking chance, because there's quite a few. We're going to start with the fairly wide, and we're going to start with Chanel Dryer and Ravina Oliveira. Oliveira coming in as a plus 360 underdog. Dyer coming in as a minus 480 favorite. Pretty good wide odds for a couple of girls who don't really have much carrying weight in their names in the UFC. Now, move along to something that's a little wider than that, and that is going to be the Austin Lane and Iwo Bernowski? Bernowski?
Baranowski.
Ski. You're just getting ski out of me. Ski and Lane. Lane, to nobody's surprise, a plus 440 underdog. Ski, coming in as an inaugural fight in the UFC, is a minus 625 favorite. There's a reason why we said Austin Lane shouldn't be in the UFC earlier. this is prime example. You got a guy who's making his UFC debut, is a minus 625 favorite over a guy who's been in the UFC for quite some time now, which is highly unfortunate. Another one of these that I should have went in order, and I missed this. I don't know why I just skimmed over it. But CLD and Roman Dolidze. Surprisingly wider odds than I would have thought for this fight. Well, I shouldn't say wider, but a little wider than I would have thought they would have been. Roman Dolidze coming in as a plus 370 underdog. CLD has got the minus 500 favorite. I'm wondering if that has to do with a little home field advantage there, maybe. Uh, but I think it's just slightly wider than it should be, in my opinion. Now, another one of these perennial fuck ups is the next one I'm going to talk about. That perennial fuck up being Antonio Tricoli and Montes. Oh, fuck that, Montes. You're just getting Montes because I'm not trying to fuck up people's names. It's not my bag. My brain doesn't brain this late at night. Tricoli coming in as the perennial fuck up at a plus 540 underdog. Montas is getting a minus 770 favorite. Now, that's another one of those guys that is very new to the UFC, coming in against a guy who's been around here for quite a while. Like I said, a lot of us who've been watching this for a while know who Antonio Tricoli is. We just don't think highly of him for a good reason. Now, you get that new guy and he comes in as a minus 770 favorite. That tells you something and why some of these peoples need to go. Now, for the widest odds on the card, that is in the form of Felipe Franco and Mario Pinto. Felipe Franco, a plus 650 underdog. Mario Pinto, a minus 1,000 favorite. Huge, huge difference there. So there is some places on this card where money can be made if you're willing to take the risk. For the most part, the rest of them are pretty coin flippy. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of minus 200, plus 200 types in there. Just for example, the Nathaniel Wood and Kita, or however the fuck he pronounces his name, Wood coming in as a plus 190 underdog, and Kita coming in as a minus 245 favorite. So they're out there. We're not going to touch on all those. Like I said, I was just going to do the fairly wide odds ones because there were some wider odds on the card, which is always nice to talk about and see. Now, as per usual, I'm going to hit the co-main and main. However, I'm going to hit my co-main and the main. I'm not going to hit the co-main that's listed on the card as the co-main because, to be honest, the odds are pretty goddamn similar between these two. So MVP and Sam Patterson. This is my co-main event. Sam Patterson coming in as a plus 163 underdog. MVP and minus 205 favorite. To be honest, I think that should be a little closer to a coin flip with the streak that Sam Patterson's on. I think that they're still giving MVP a little too much respect there. You could say it's home field advantage, but it's not because Sam Patterson is also from the UK, Britain, that fucking area there. The main event. Lerone Murphy, Movsar Evloev. Evloev coming in as a minus 250 favorite. Lerone Murphy, a plus 200 underdog. I'm not surprised at those odds. I don't think that they should be any closer than that. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that those are right about right on. Because Movsar has been hard to fucking beat. Very fucking hard to beat. There's why he's sitting number one in that division right now without having the title. Lerone Murphy has made a great charge, but he's got to get past Movsar. If he does, then sure. Give him that number one spot in the next fucking title shot. But those are your odds this week. I got nothing else. I'm done. I quit. Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
Thank you very much, sir. Always much appreciated. And that being said, that is what we have got for this episode. So, first and foremost, if you are new, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what we get up to around here, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, make sure it's turned on so you don't miss any of these things, and maybe give us a thumbs up. Share it with a friend if you really dig what we're up to around here. If you really, really like what we get up to around here, like TJ mentioned, patreon.com/I'm no Joe is the best way to help us do what we do. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, any level of patronage, first and foremost, helps us do what we do. And so, in exchange for that, we put your name on the end of every broadcast on the channel so everyone can see how fucking awesome you are for helping us. But more than that, a patronage of any level also gets you access to the unaired and unairable nonsense, all the behind the scenes bullshit, everything that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast. Patrons get to enjoy that. Not to mention, we also have Patreon exclusive content that only folks who help us do what we do get to enjoy as well. So if that's something you're interested in, please hop on over, check it out, let us know. We'd be happy to have you. The other side of that coin, though, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast that you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when we wrap things up around here Thursday nights, that is not the end of the fun because we do try and do this pretty much every Thursday night when there are fights to talk about. We go live on youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe and dual broadcast twitch.tv/I'mNoJoe. You can pick us up on either platform. We are there to be seen, but that's not the end of the fun because tomorrow, we're not sure tomorrow, but most Fridays, the other half of our fucking little show here, the kid and his other half do their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Whether you are watching this or listening to it, you can go check that out. Links are down below. That being said, the most important part here, in my opinion, wait, sorry, no, he's over there. This guy right here put together a live stream last weekend that you can still click whether you are listening to this or you are watching this. The links are down in the description. We do a fundraiser every year to try and help kids who are less fortunate get bikes for Easter. The links are down below. You can still click to the stream. You can still donate. That's what we want. If you got to make a choice, our Patreon will be there later. Give the money to the kids. We do this every year to help people who aren't getting the help they need get a little relief every Easter. The kids fucking deserve it. Go click on that fucking link and give anything you've got to spare. If there's any left over, come see us on Patreon.
Sir, just as an FYI, this weekend is bike shopping weekend. So I've got just about all the donations I'm going to get in. So TikTok, you have till this weekend. After that, any donations I will try to get another bike out of, but I have to have them turned in by, what is it, next week? I think it's next week. Next week's the 28th, yeah. So I want to get them in by the 28th, 29th at the latest, so they are there by Easter in those kids' hands, letting them do their things. So anybody who does donate, thank you. We greatly appreciate it. If you don't know, there's a lot of downtime between now and next Wednesday. Or next Thursday, excuse me. I say next Wednesday. I don't do shows anymore, so I don't fucking have to worry about that. Between now and next Thursday, apparently my brain still isn't branding, and that's fine. You can go check out all of the many things that the meter does do by clicking on one of the links below, linktree/the meter does many things, or linktree/I'm no Joe. It will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do, and you can burn a lot of time in there. Now, there's a pun in there to be had if you know what I'm getting at. If you don't, maybe you should go click the link and find out.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Like we mentioned, we try and go live every Thursday on both YouTube and Twitch. If you don't catch us live, we leave the replays up on either platform as long as they are allowed. If you miss us live and you don't want to watch the replay, we also understand that because we too own mirrors for that exact reason. The week after we go live on video, we put out the all audio version over on anchor.fm/I'm no Joe. You can get that to your podcast consumption of choice, like mentioned earlier. Google, Spotify, Apple, whatever you use, it's there free, just like the YouTube and the Twitch is. So come on and check it out. Tell your friends if you really like it. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.